That's grand.
So the tea colour I made for Holly yesterday.
Oh my God, that's so good.
That's perfect. But I didn't realise how light it was until I plunked it in front of her, and mentally I went, I wouldn't drink
Tea latte.
And I just went, I hope you're not expecting me to drink that because I'm not.
Did you
not
not
drink it?
No.
No, you're the type of
milky.
person to like leave the tea bag in for the whole drink.
No, if it touches your lips.
I would if it was that colour.
Welcome to The Vault with Financielle. This is a safe space where we talk all things life and money and no topics are off limits. Episode 13.
Is that what we're on? It's unlucky.
Unlucky so
What's going to happen? What's going to happen?
So whilst sometimes you dive into a controversial opinion, I've got a controversial opinion.
Oh,
Okay.
So I was chatting to our friend Suze. Hi,
Yes.
Suze. She loves the merch, was really excited, but she didn't feel she could buy the Money Club t-shirt. And I said, why? And she was like, well, does it not look like I'm trying to show off that I've got money? And I was like, oh my God, I never thought about it like that. I was like, no. It's about being in
part of
in the club.
club.
You find me in the club. But isn't that interesting? I was
Yeah.
like, no. But people's perception on like Suze is definitely very considerate of, do people think I'm saying something particular? I don't know.
Am I
like,
showing off? Yeah.
I was like, thank you for showing me that side. But no, you are allowed in the Money Club. It's not,
It's for everybody.
it's inclusive.
Does that mean I need to throw out my like sports club
Yeah.
t-shirts from ASOS because I am not in any sports club?
I've got a wellness club one. Like, I'm not well. Burn it.
No, wear the t-shirt you want to be.
Okay, controversial opinion at a time. If you don't pay into your pension, you are screwed. Hold up. I'm going to add some colour. I'm going to add some context because I feel like we need it going into this. So, after speaking to a few women in our community, there's a lot of women aged mid-50s who are now divorced, decided to opt out of their pension when they were younger and kind of banked on their future selves being able to cover that. Obviously had partners who like had great pensions, whatever. Now divorced,
Years later.
didn't take any of the pension in the divorce.
Yeah.
And are now at a point like where for them it seems pointless to start paying into their pension. And a lot of them are kind of banking on and looking for other areas. So side hustles, starting their own businesses and being like, that is my pension. Or like, I'm paying off my mortgage, that is my pension. What do you think about that?
How you
Sips tea.
Step up, Holly. It's Holly's favourite soapbox.
Yeah, pension. It's never too late, first of all. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, it probably is too late in some
There's
circumstances.
like a little bit
if
of
you're
maths that
talking,
if
like,
you're in your 70s,
I'm
like
just about to say, if you come into us in your 70s and you're like, I've not got a pension, then I wouldn't worry about it.
no, that's more about optimizing what you do have and what you're
Yes.
entitled to and trying to live as healthy and a happy life because you're obviously not going to go and get years and years of compound and you don't be working into your 80s and your 90s unnecessarily. So yeah, that's a really good point to open with. It's never too late for the people that mathematically it's just really, really tough for. It's more about optimizing.
We've had so many women in their mid-50s that have success stories around either starting to contribute to a pension full stop or upping their pension contributions as a result of a relationship breakdown, or they've actually realised, even in a couple, that there actually isn't enough in the pot for them. Like, even when their partner's got a pension, you see the cost of living crisis and what it's doing to people. The cost of every single thing is going up, and it's likely that the value of the state pension is not going to cover the costs that are going up. You can see people struggling now.
That's such a good point, actually. Like, have a chat with your partner at the moment. If you are like your 40s and down kind of age, do you talk about it? Do you talk about how much we're going to need in retirement? Like when someone goes to a financial advice session with a financial planner, it's all about planning for, especially retirement, because it's around investing and long-term wealth. And yes, a lot of it's how to optimize your taxes and optimize your money. But a lot of it is, when do you want to retire and what do you want, what lifestyle do you want, and work backwards. And so many of us miss out on that discussion because we're not in the financial advice customer target.
We're in that privileged circle of
No,
people
so we don't
planning
talk about
for
it.
long-term wealth.
No.
Like, we are not, none of us here are in that conversation, never have been, but actually now we are. because we're seeing there's so many self-employed people in the UK as well. If you think years ago, people used to be in jobs like you would do a vocation, so it would be teacher, doctor, policeman, and with that would come really good company pensions. That doesn't exist anymore. People are starting their own businesses. People are working for startups, and those really lucrative pensions have been taken away. So there's a mix of people at the moment that are going through having those really lucrative pensions being taken away, and what does life look for them? So people that are experiencing or enjoying a pension right now have had really good, luckily, systems set up a long time ago. They don't exist anymore, and they definitely won't in the future. They'll arguably be worse.
There's so much misinformation about pensions as well. So many people say, my house is my pension. Well, what are you going to live in then? Even if you downsize, housing costs or rent when you're older, it will still be expensive. So houses are not pension unless you have a property empire, which, by the way, still after tax is not necessarily, black and white.
Not as lucrative as it used to be.
But for those people, so I guess there's two messages out of this controversial opinion. The first is listen to the women in their 50s that say, I wish I hadn't have done that. They have literally done it, and they have got the scars of it, and they're working towards, improving it. But do not ignore that warning. I wish I'd have done this when I was younger. It's one of the biggest things we hear people talk about. But for women and pensions and couples and pensions, it's actually one of the most freeing things. If you look at pension not as something, you can't take it with you and who knows if we'll be here. Well, it's an asset you're building for your family. So first of all, it's teaching you delayed gratification. I need to put some money away that I can't touch for years. And that isn't the hardest thing to do as a human. So if you nail that, it's a really good muscle to nail. But the second point is you are likely to live. You are likely to be around a lot longer than people in previous generations. What kind of lifestyle do you want? And are you on track to hit it? And then I guess the third point, and this is more to people approaching retirement 10 to 20 years out, at retirement age, but really fit and well, want to carry on working. For those people that feel like they might be behind, and there's calculators online to work out how much you kind of will probably need in our pot, is you can pay into a SIP. A SIP in the UK is a self-invested personal pension. You could do this in all countries, no matter where you're listening. You should be able to have a look. And there's no reason why, even if you're in employment now and bits going into your pension, you can put extra in. So many people don't know that.
I didn't know that, because that when you have your first real job was with us, wasn't it? So it's really funny when I'm like, so Lucy, this is what happens in a corporate job. But somebody comes in, it's usually a white middle-aged male in a suit, and you'll get an email and it goes around to the whole company. It's like, the pension guy's coming in.
Oh my God.
So everyone goes out on the lunch when he comes in, because nobody wants to sit and listen to what he's got to say.
It's like a drop-in.
It's
you book in
overwhelming. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, literally.
Yes, don't see him.
Yeah.
You will
wearing
retire.
a cloak. Everyone scatters because it's confusing, overwhelming. As well, when you're young, I don't have to worry about this right now. I'll worry about it when I'm older. But the really financially savvy people in my company, there's a woman in mind, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. She would be literally sat at the front. She would get all the information, and she'd try and get everybody around the table and be like, guys, you need to... So there's some really good advocates of people that are like, pensions are really important, and whether that's been passed down by a family member or that just really can see that it's free money from the government and it grows over time. It makes perfect sense to focus on it. So you will get those gems of people that are...
Yeah, pension champions. But let's change the language as well. Investing champions.
It's investing.
Yeah, I before Financielle, I did not know that a pension was invested. No. That money goes and it gets invested and it grows.
Yeah. And there's graphs to kind of aesthetic
free
graphs.
money to help it grow.
I always remember when Laura sent me that first email. It was like, do you want to opt into your pension? I was like, this is a test. I was like, could you imagine? Imagine if I sent a prank email. I was like,
not feeling it today.
No, I think I'll take that.
I'm surprised I gave you the choice, but I think legally I have
to. You opted out of yours though, didn't you?
I did. And that's one of the biggest learnings for me and a story I share at 22. When I was living in the city and I was a lawyer and trying to balance finances because, it's tough when you want to go to Vodka Revolution on a Friday night, poor me.
That's a free night out.
Well, so me opting out my pension gave me more money to pay my rent and I'll do it later. No one in my life and, parents were never taught this. So this is like a generational thing and a cultural thing about compound interest, which quite frankly, I knew more about geology at school, but I didn't understand compound interest and that by doing that, there's some really good calculations about how much you need to put. You could pay into your pension as a one-off when you're 21 and never touch it again, and you'll still beat someone that starts at 30 and 40 and stuff. It's incredible.
Yeah, you do, 'cause you're in your 20s.
I
love those. I don't.
I love math. But going back to our older community members who think they can calculate what they think they need and look at the gap and do the math. And we'll help you do that. If you want to message in or email us, we'll help you work out not how to invest, just how you go about making your own calculation. And then you've got a target. We'll have a goal, we'll have a target, and then you can open up with lots of independent providers a SIP, which is essentially a bank account. Yeah. And mentally, all you're doing is picking an amount and transferring it in, just like a bill.
Every month when you do your budget, you're always like, just create a line for it. It doesn't have. The thing is, it seems really complicated. You hear the pension adverts on the radio, and it sounds so like pension. The word, it needs to change.
We should change.
We'll
workshop
I used to
it.
think
what should we call it?
Where I grew up, like I'm kind of like there was like a neighborhood of bungalows, and it's like where all of the pensioners live.
That's why, yeah.
And I used to think bungalows were called pensions.
Oh.
So I was like, whatever. So I still think now, like, go home and I'm like, oh, there's the pensions.
Even that visual representation of what you think a pensioner is, i.e. an older person, you therefore then connect.
That's far away.
Paying into your pensions far away, and I'll worry about it later. We're going to come up with a new word. We'll come back to you on that.
Opt in, live fast, die old.
Well, the women live longer as well.
Yeah.
So like a lot of the we always talk about this. A lot of the pension, I don't know what's the word.
Well, just your calculators are based on like average lifespan, and so funds to be able to get investments to crystallize and mature at the right age. It's all at the right time. Sorry, it's all taken into account average lifespans, and obviously it's an average. So, but women are skewed.
We live longer
wrongly.
and then get paid less throughout our lifetime.
Yeah,
so we've got a lot of work to do.
If you wanted to be any more angry than you were when you started listening to the book.
There you go. You did warn us.
So yeah, and I feel like it's time for a change. If you know people going through like divorces or separations, we might try and find some material, but the pension house split is very interesting. A lot of women want to hold on to the home. And I get it, whether you've been a mother or not, whether you're very homely, whether it's very physical, like it's an asset.
You could have ploughed so much like
effort into
making that house
blood, sweat and tears making that house beautiful. It's a really big, especially if you didn't make the decision to end the relationship, because that's a big thing. If you're caught off guard, you're like, no, this is my life. I'm keeping my life. If you want to leave the life, go leave it, but this is mine. So what tends to happen when we're looking at asset splits is like a company told us this, so many women skew towards the house and just disregard pensions. But then if you look at future earning potential as post-divorce, the rate at which the man's pension will typically grow, or the higher earner's pension will grow, is more because they're putting more into it as well, and it's a bigger pot. So the compound.
The woman would have put less into hers before, because she generally the traditional role is to look after the children, go on maternity leave, so you miss out on pension contributions. We always talk about that. You're likely to get paid less anyway because of the gender pay gap, but you also might return to work on a part-time basis, because if you're not the breadwinner, everyone looks around the room and goes, well, who's going to take time off to look after the kids? It's not going to be me because I'm the breadwinner, so it's going to fall onto you, which inevitably 9 times out of 10 is the female. So not only has she been paying in less, her husband has remained the same, compound interest has grown. She's then taken on the cost of the family home, which won't be cheap because it'll probably be
bigger than she effectively needs.
The bachelor pad that he's moving in.
I mean, visually, this is a film, I can see it. I think definitely the takeaway is, if you like early on, do not underestimate the importance of your pension. Call it investing, call it whatever you want to call it, but don't disregard it and think I'll sort it later. Don't think my partner's got a good pension. You never know what will happen to that pension, by the way, never mind to the individual and whether you'll still be together. But if you're of an older age and you feel like, is it too late? No, it is not too late. Come to us, come to the community, or go and see a financial advisor or planner. Usually they do 30-minute free consultations, especially if you're approaching retirement. That's the perfect age for someone to really look through the numbers with you and do it. So, take a cup of tea after that, guys.
Good luck with the dilemma. We're warmed up. What can I say?
I feel like this leads nicely on to this dilemma. So, I'm worried my daughter has no money. Hi girls, I'm writing to you as I desperately need some help for my daughter. For context, my daughter is 22 years old, she never went to uni, she has a good job in recruitment and still lives at home. My concern is that she seems to be constantly spending her money. I don't know the exact figure that she earns, but I know it's in the mid-20s. She doesn't have any fixed expenses as we don't charge her any rent, as we said we never would, and we're in a lucky position where we don't need her to contribute towards our bills. She has parcels arriving to the house every day and is always out with her friends drinking every weekend. I love that she is enjoying her early 20s, but I'm worried she's building bad money habits that she won't be able to break when it really matters. It sometimes also gets to the point where she asks to borrow money from us at the end of the month and says she'll pay us back when she gets paid. Should I have a word with her? Should we start charging her rent and keeping the money aside as a house deposit for her? I don't want her to get stuck in this cycle and never be able to afford to move out.
It's like a car crash and the poor parents are watching going, oh no, maybe she'll learn. But like, how is she going to learn? In the daughter's defense.
Yeah.
You know, like it's
She's having a great time.
She's not getting taught at work. She's going for lunch when the pension guy comes in.
She is definitely going out to Nando's and she's
I was
not.
about to say Nando's lunch.
Oh, no, like how is her daughter expected to know this? We're not born with this. And what's interesting is it feels like, I'm presuming this is a mum, the way she's talking, but the mum knows these aren't good money habits. So like, presumably she has tried to show or demonstrate how you manage money, but she's obviously quite relaxed with her daughter, and I like
I'm
that.
envisioning the mum from Mean Girls.
Oh, yeah.
She's like bringing
Can I get you
cocktails
anything?
in.
Some snacks, a condom?
Yeah.
I'm a cool mom. I'm not a
cool
regular mom.
Not a regular mum.
So I would say let her live her life a little bit, because there's a chance if you start to come down heavy that she's just gonna pull away. But doing the family budget around the kitchen table is not to be underestimated. It sounds like it's so obvious, but nobody does it with the kids. So the kids don't know how much things cost. You can imagine kids kicking off when they're not getting bought the designer goods or whatever it might be. She's a little bit older. She's in her 20s, but she's not been to uni. She's got a job. Sit around the table and be like, okay, so how much money have we got coming in this month? Mortgage is this, because that's going to be her one day, and that's building up those good money habits, isn't it? If she knows what it takes to run a household, she might have a little bit more empathy for her mum. And I think taking some money off her is really good money muscle as well. So when I lived at home with my mum, not for a long time, like that, we were really privileged and very well looked after. I think I paid a contributor to groceries.
Yes.
So, and my mum was like, you contribute to groceries, you don't have to pay rent, but I want you to save for your house deposit.
Well, I was just about to say, because I was like, did you pay mum and she saved up for you? Because I just don't think that's a good idea.
No,
but
I was like,
Why
you
do
don't
you think that's a
condition
good
off.
idea?
Because it's not doing the thing.
oh, I had to do the thing. Like,
Yeah, it's not doing
It's
the
like
thing.
open an ISA.
literally
Yeah,
that. It was like
so
stood
many
over me.
people say to me, especially where they've got like privileged parents, where they go, oh, they pay rent, but we're putting it aside for them. I'm like, you're not like, you're teaching them about rent. Yes, great.
Yeah.
That is important. But don't do it for them. This is where they can't be trusted. They'll dip into it. And you then like, I don't know.
Yeah,
so I
'cause
have
it
a big
should be,
thing about
you're going to
that.
put it here, open. I want you to open up an ISA. I want you to set up the direct debit, because that's the bit that's missing for everybody.
It's because you have to teach them self-control. I think that's what's really important. When we've got the Money Playbook is designed to help you nail one thing at a time. And so with your daughter, I feel like amazing that she's got such a good job in recruitment. By the way, earning potential massive. So the big problem here is commission. And so if she will raise her living standards, like the parcels will double or they'll get
there
bigger.
will be signs.
There will be signs that you got the bonus. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a real
That's going to
danger
be hard
that
to manage for her, isn't
if
it?
you don't help her navigate as the salary increases, this will just continue. And in fact, it can exacerbate it, especially if you suddenly get used to a higher standard of living and it drops for whatever reason.
Walking with a cane.
A cane?
Like a pimp cane.
Oh, like a rich
Living
person's
like an
cane.
old
She's a crutch. But so for example, as you talked about with the family budget, but a different spin on that is helping her do a budget is a great thing, but not being controlling and teaching her. The first thing that we're teaching them is you need to spend less than comes in.
Yeah.
So you write what's coming in, and as long as there's something left first month.
And what are we going to do with it?
Yeah, but even at first, I suspect, given she's having to borrow money at the end of the month, she's not managing even to do that. So even if we can break even month one and not have to borrow money, you've just like jumped so far in your money development. That's massive. The next, you go, okay, we can now do that. We're
For a
able
couple
to
of
go
months,
out. We're
maybe.
still able to, have beauty done. We're still able to buy parcels from wherever. Next one is, okay, can we save 250 quid? And naturally you owe me that. So you can give me that back.
Oh, I would, by the way, be making sure that you're holding her accountable to the money that she owes you.
Because as soon as she moves out, that'll just go on credit.
Yeah.
Or
There'll always just be another way to, she'll find
It's a
another
line
way
of
to borrow
credit.
money.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one about lending money. I think there's one thing where like when we're in our first jobs and we're trying to navigate money, we always like go bougie early on in the month, and like it's not easy. It takes a long time to work out. And so we've known situations where people have had to lend their children money so that they can pay for fuel to get to, or
You're never gonna get
I've
it
no
right
money
the
for
first
groceries.
time.
Like but that they've been out, that they've got like a new outfit and stuff. And it's just all that learning. So I think not being too harsh there, but stopping being a line of credit for someone. If she's run out of money, what does she need that money for? If it's fuel, like, okay, I'll pay for your fuel, I'll pay for a bit of food, but I'm not funding
buying.
you then, like, go in
Whereas
for a
if you
nice
do the
coffee.
budget together, you'll be like, so you don't need to borrow money from this month because we've accounted for everything. So you're
Yeah.
welcome. Like,
But like, little bit. Firstly, can we balance the budget? Next time, can we beat the budget and have an excess left over? And can that go towards something like, for example, savings or paying any debt that she has? And just showing her that you can have stuff. You can buy shit you don't need if you want to. I mean, you shouldn't. You should have a list like Lydia. But if you don't have a list, then start making that list and allow yourself spending. Because, oh my God, when you're in your 30s and you may or may not have children, you're definitely going to be bottom of the list. Or when you're really intensely saving for a house, you will start going without. So enjoy this job and life. But the more of an excess you can encourage her to grow per month means that when she eventually flies the nest and when she eventually buys her own place or rents, you're just going to have peace of mind.
Mm-hmm.
She's not going to ring you for money, and that's not because you don't want to lend her money. It's because you'll know she's got her shit together.
she needs a t-shirt.
she needs a t-shirt.
Getting my money shit together.
She's never going to move out if it carries on like that.
Also, if
What
you've
do you
got it
want?
really good at home, just stay there. Just carry on. No, I think it's all smoke and mirrors because her mum's like, I'm not quite sure how much she gets paid. I'm not sure how much she's in, like, she could be in debt, she could have credit cards, and it doesn't sound like they're very like overly open about money. So just having a budget loses the smoke and mirrors.
22.
22.
So young, but how good
young.
would it be to get your money shit together at 20?
I know.
The dream.
That is the dream. And it's so young that also fair game for mum to get involved.
Yeah.
So young.
Definitely.
Do you know what I mean? This isn't like, you're 40, can I have a look at your bank account? Like, what are you spending your money on? It's like
if you
Dungeons and Dragons.
If you could see your child like physically unhealthy, you'd want to make them better for life. So if you want to
what's the
invest in
difference
that.
with
Yeah, there's no
money?
difference.
Yeah.
But people with money, it's so taboo. They're like, oh, I think she gets paid this. I'm not quite sure if she's in debt, and I'm not quite
Yeah.
sure. It's like if it was healthy, you'd be like, right, we're going to the doctor. Like, you're not very well, and I want you to be well and live a healthy life. If more parents, it's because it's an education thing, could teach their children about money, education at an early age in the 20s, we wouldn't be left with all this shit in our mid 30s, 40s, 50s.
But if you're the child, only do that if you think your parents have got their shit together, because like it can open up a can of worms if they're
go
like,
on
what
your
do you
own,
earn?
Yeah.
Will you earn that? Okay, well you now need to pay this.
Yeah.
No.
Fully enough.
I'm struggling.
It might backfire. Just don't take my advice.
Okay, time for a community win. A huge thank you for being... Oh, this goes perfectly.
You're surprised.
This is a good one.
A huge thank you for being so open about money education. As a kid, I was never taught anything about money, and I didn't learn anything until I met my partner in my 20s. I'd only ever seen borrowing, renting electricals and furniture, begging you to pay rent later, etc. I ended up getting myself in all sorts of debt, but I'm now 34, I've paid it all off. I'm also learning to curb the impulse spending, and that's thanks to people like you who are sharing the knowledge that so many people just don't get early enough.
Love that one.
It was very apt. Do you know what was cool? Like you said, it was actually her partner that she'd learned good habits from. Like we probably don't talk about that, but we talk about money personalities, and sometimes in a relationship, depending on background and depending on who's been in your life and who's taught it you, that you've got either natural tendencies, whether it's just in your characteristics and in your personality, or whether it's like learned. I guess that's nature or nurture, isn't it? But I love it when couples can like teach each other about different things, and that's your new family. Do you know what I mean? Like, just because your family wasn't great doesn't mean you can't learn new or unlearn bad. I mean, we're here to help you with that, obviously, in the Everyone in the Financielle app and the community will help you with it. But how cool that a partner
That
can
is cool.
show you a new way, like safely and that's cool.
Yeah, I love that one.
I love it.
You go, girl.
If you would like your win featured in the podcast, head to the community in the app or email us at thevault@financielle.com. Okay, time for dilemma number 2. We can't afford to have children. Hi ladies, I would love to hear your opinion on what me and my partner have decided, as I want to know if we've made the right choice. So, me and my partner, mid-30s, have decided it would be too much of a financial struggle to start a family. A few years ago, we thought we might be in a better position by now, but no, our salaries have stayed relatively similar while our living costs have gone up. We're both very good with money. We have never had more than a couple £100 in credit card debt, but have been leached by the expensive London, south of England rent prices over the years. Our work is really only in this region, so it's not an option for us to move. Some of our friends have had a lot of financial support from their parents so they could have children. Others have been stung by childcare fees and the general cost of kids and have racked up a lot of debt. I know priorities change when you have a family, but there really is nothing we could physically cut back on. It's sad, but I don't want to be a stressed parent. I grew up in a poor home and it's taken me 15 years to get to the point in my life where I'm not constantly panicked about how little money I have. I dread having that feeling again, and potentially with a young child. Is this the right decision to choose not to have a family for these reasons?
This is the reality of so many people. Like a few years ago, before cost of living crisis, as it keeps being badged, and before really London's always been more expensive, the South has always been more expensive, but it really is at such a tipping point now where it's not easy to navigate. People would say, oh, so it's expensive having kids. It's never a good time. The kind of older generations would say that. And I honestly, I think I truly believed it, where there's never a good time. It's always going to be expensive. And that's true of lots of things. There's always a reason not to do something. But actually, there's such a big math issue here for so many people that I can absolutely understand why couples are having this decision. I think what I would like to hope, and we don't know the details, is she's made quite a lot of assumptions that are just black and white. So we do this for a job and we can all live in the South. Well, this is where you go, what do I want to do for work? I want to have a family?
Unless you're working in Buckingham Palace. That's not true.
Well, exactly. And I think the world's gone a bit more remote now, but we don't know. Like, she could be train driver in London, but again, you can be a train driver somewhere else. It's a great strike. It just sounds like a good life. I'm kidding, by the way. But
you're not.
But I think that this is where it's really helpful, especially so hard for women, by the way, with the age, window, pressure, fertility, like all stacking on top of
making
life.
A decision quickly.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you can't wait until you've got a bit more savings because you don't know. So it's so stressful. So for anyone going through that, oh my God, like, hats off to you. And there's lots of people, lots more people go through this than you think. So feel free to talk to people about this, because it's a big, big issue for people, whether it's, like I said, we've not even talked about fertility as part of that, which so many people have to navigate. But I think it is about stepping back and going, like, what life do I want? It sounds like children are important to them, because I think there's such a good movement now, which is, actually, I don't think I want children.
Yeah.
And that's so empowering, because it was the default. It was seen as strange not to have. And it's not always necessarily connected to lifestyle, but for some people it is. It's, I like this routine and I like my life, and I don't want to compromise that. I like being around children. It's not, no offense, but they're just not for me. Whereas other people actually also say they're just not for me. So I think that's a big thing, where we're not always now just doing what people think we should do. People are a lot more empowered. But if children are really, really important for you, you have to remove some of the mental blockers around what you can and can't do. There's a maths problem with, this is income, these are expenses, and this is what it would be like. Income can change. What can you do to change income? Whether it's changing careers, changing jobs, because lots of people do manage to have children in the South. What can you collectively do about it? Because even one of you changing job or salary
can have a massive impact. But then also, can you have a career? If children, this is all about, you can't have everything. You can have anything, but you can't have everything. So if children is important as well for a period of time, especially as you're trying to get them into school, and then hopefully costs can come down a little bit depending on wraparound care. Could you have a career change for a period of time that allows you to
live somewhere else. That doesn't mean that you have to live in a particular postcode. Sounds like they don't have much family help, which is also another impact on costs. Like people have a big privilege when they have babysitting on tap. They don't understand what it takes to send a child to nursery 5 days a week. They're completely naive, like about what it is to live in the real world when it comes to childcare and finances. So yeah, hopefully like it's...
The fact that she's written in to me means that she really cares about having children. Because why would you write in? You're like, she obviously does.
Oh.
Why would you write in to ask the question if it didn't really mean that much? That takes a lot, doesn't it, to write in and ask that kind of question? So obviously children are on the brain. And I don't believe it's because she cares what people think and that we don't want them. So, you know, we're getting judged. No, she's like, the reason we're not having them is because we can't afford them. So that's
the only reason.
That's not an emotional problem. That's a maths problem.
Little though, like emotional with them.
Past.
Which is fascinating actually. And I feel like there's definitely...
You want to protect her headspace because there's no point. It's really hard being a parent, full stop, by God. But to have it when you're not in the right headspace is even harder. One thing I would say is that she's got the gift of preparation. So some people fall pregnant and unexpectedly and have to suddenly find a way to make the maths work. But if they're thinking about that could be a possibility, you have got time on your hands. Like I said, fertility is obviously something that has to be considered as well. We don't know the backstory, but some people
to retrain, to take on extra, like you've not got kids now, can you take on an extra job?
If you've got a little bit of access, start putting it away.
Baby fund.
I can't tell you how I wish that I would have done that before I went on maternity leave, because the stress of buying even like nappies in Aldi and being like, oh my God, like they've gone up again and I need to buy nappies again and wipes and formula, and it can get a little bit overwhelming, especially when you're on a lesser salary because you're on maternity leave.
Even things like from the minute a baby's born, you can start paying into their childcare account.
Yeah, and I didn't know things like that. And you get free...
You get a top up, you get a tax break from the government to pay for childcare. So you don't need it yet. They're 1 week old, you're looking after them. But when they're 9 months old or 12 months old and going to nursery...
You'll be grateful for it.
You got a little pot, and we did that with Ali, the last baby. We just said, let's start putting money into it, and it kind of grows. And then you're starting off with a chunk.
You've got a buffer then, haven't you?
Yeah, no, you have. So there's definitely... And what I would say is... parents are nothing if resourceful. And so there are so many hints, tips, hacks. You know, it takes a village. There will be other people in your situation where you can share care. You can optimize the cost of care.
Yeah, they've got friends who have children and everything.
Yeah, it's much more like normal now and sustainable to share clothes and share items. Oh my God, my mum's on Facebook Marketplace every week for a new thing for the kids. But luckily then if we want to, we just recycle it.
Yeah.
Who else would like this giraffe or cat castle or whatever this week? So
and babies don't need a lot. Everyone always buys the stuff. They do the nursery, they paint the nursery, they buy a cot, they buy a wardrobe, they buy this, they buy that. They literally need nothing for like a long time.
You don't need the Molly May nursery.
No.
Baby number 3 versus 1 is a whole a whole different. I mean,
he brought himself up.
He has pink bubbles in his hair. Everyone's like, she's lovely. I'm like, I know she is. She's not getting blue bubbles until we're running out of the pink ones. But I know, and again, this is all with a pinch of salt, easy for us to say. But I think there's some really important messages there, which is one, really think about what's important to you, and then workshop it like it's a work project. What can you change? What can you do? Even if it's not forever, it's for a period of time. The early years are the most expensive and draining on your mind, your on your bank balance. But then secondly, really open yourself up to what the cost of it would be, because there's so much you can do to hack your way through it, and you'll find a way. I think you'll know what's the level of that's too far and that's not a lifestyle that we want. But you know.
We talked about dinks the other day, didn't we? Dual income, no kids.
Id you remember Dink? I was about to say Lydia, do you remember Dink?
Yeah, goals.
Dink wad or Dink walk or Dink war?
What was war with a rabbit?
Well, I just added that one.
Rabbit. Yeah.
I just added it.
Dual income, no kids with a rabbit.
Dink wub with buns.
With bunnies.
Yeah, sorry, I call them buns.
With buns. Buns.
Or bread, like I'm here for the bread.
I want to know.
Really good bread because you've not got kids. We can afford posh bread.
I want to know what Dinkwads get up to at the weekend. Tell us.
Tennis.
Wait,
Going for lunch.
Dog?
Oh,
with
wait.
a dog.
Dog walk. Yeah, no,
Dink.
Dinks.
Sorry,
yeah.
Dink. Oh,
I was like, didn't get a dog. I thought we were getting a cat.
Dink whack.
Dink whack. What's dink whack? What's life as a dink whack gonna look like? Paint us the picture, then we could live vicariously
oh my God,
through
don't.
you.
So I'm going to wake up.
Is it a struggle?
Is it?
Have to stroke the cat.
Are you okay?
We need to make sure she's okay.
To
after a
decide
long
which
night's sleep.
aesthetic bakery you're going to walk to.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
the
need to take some
stress.
selfies with the cat.
Oh,
you know what I mean? It's
poor you.
hard life.
And
Oh,
like,
it'd be
you
for
have-
Horse Empire. Think we're
Wow.
With a debt-free horse empire.
debt-free.
With a duffer.
Rolls off
no
the
shade to
tongue.
people without kids. I know we're just having a conversation about kids, but those with kids
Oh,
and not with a lot of
I
time.
am throwing shade at people without kids. Don't know how lucky you are. Enjoy the lions. Enjoy the bakery. Enjoy the selfie. Enjoy the clean.
Oh no, we wouldn't do that. Them. There's,
I am.
grass is
I'm really
greener in
enjoying
lots of
it.
places.
Okay. Any final words before we close the vault?
Do you know what? One on personal finance being personal. And so we're like, this is a money show, and we really do try and lean into the big life questions that people have. And this, it's really sad that this is one of them. Like I said, we've not even talked about fertility and the costs that are really involved in trying for a baby, never mind then eventually having them. And so for something that's so simple for some people is so difficult for others, there's then this other movement of, I mean, I can't make a decision about anything. So the fact that women have to do I, don't I, and there's a time on that is just another
And it's
level.
the biggest, irreversible decision.
Yeah.
Like it changes your whole life.
It changes your whole life. I saw something on TikTok, it might be TikTok or Instagram, that was talking about like your parents weren't always parents. They had a life before you.
That's so weird.
I was
to think.
like, no.
No, they weren't.
Did they?
All they've ever done is looked after me. But it,
Fake news.
but it really made me like picture, of my mum and dad and what life was like when they just got up and sorted themselves out and not me and my children out like that.
I always think about life before me because I was called Tasmanian Devil. So you can imagine.
they were like,
hell
they
really
had me and they were
calm.
like, shall we have another?
Yeah, do you know,
Yeah,
like
the first
do you know on
child
Disney
is the one
films
that,
when the
like-
thunder comes, when a child's
Yeah.
born that's like to a witch or something, it's like thunder, darkness, like.
Yeah, don't they say the oldest child is the one that convinces you to have the next one, and then the youngest one is the one that tells you to stop?
Yeah, if Holly was first, she'd have been an only child. She'd
yeah.
have, she'd
I
have
would have
loved
been-
it.
I've
I
been
was
told that a few times.
Red and screaming and crying.
Do you?
Yeah.
Like something's never changed.
Apparently my brother came out like,
Chill,
I came
dude.
out like,
He's older.
I'm youngest.
You're the youngest. Yeah,
I put a stop.
Apparently, I was an excellent baby. They take me to restaurants. I would just sit there,
Oh.
stare at people.
look at
And they took
you.
me to Vegas when I was 1.
So that explains a lot.
So you couldn't wait 20 years, could you? No.
That explains
On
a
that
lot.
note, and we didn't preamble this. We didn't do the preamble that I envisaged. For those that don't know, we bought Lydia the sock.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
sensory
boy.
sock.
So
Made it out of the pod.
I can't remember what episode it was, so therefore you have to listen to them all and work out which one it was.
It's number 7.
Number 6. So 6
The best day of
episodes
my
ago,
life.
we it was on her list of dreams. What is the list? Just explain the list quickly before we close.
I think it's called shit I want to buy but shouldn't.
I think you've got quite a few ticked off now.
I have got loads ticked off.
Yes,
So
I know,
the
see?
list is empty, or are we building it back up?
Hang
again?
on, let me look at it. Let me get
need
it.
to
So
do
one of the
some
things
Amazon
on it was
scrolling.
a human sensory sock. So there was a lot of debate, a lot of questions that came in going, what the hell
I
is
love
that?
it. It's very soothing. Anytime I'm stressed, I climb in the sock and it's like a hug.
We need to bring it on the pod.
We bought it.
Yeah.
We
We, like,
bought
edit
it
it
for
here.
her. I think we could edit in and on YouTube. We need the sock. But so if you're watching, you're going to be able to physically
I'm just going to
see it.
sit behind you and don't acknowledge it.
Yeah.
But I'll just be in the sock.
So if we encourage Lydia to build up this list, because what she does with this list is it stops her spending, but our fun is we buy it for her. And so if there's anything on the list
Lydia's
that
going to
you
put a
think,
horse on the list.
I've updated the list.
Question
Guys, it'll be
centre.
really good
Saddle.
for stories if we get Lydia a debt-free horse empire.
so we're going to challenge her to build up the list. We'll ask her again, and then you can tell us
I'm
what.
going to put on the list
we
and
should
I get stuff
crowdfund.
as well.
Lydia, can you put
A new one is a crochet penguin kit.
I think that's one,
Not
that
no.
one's staying on the
Make your
list.
own.
Is that on your list as well?
No, I said you're not having that.
Not having that one.
That's sorry.
It keep me busy in the evenings.
Wrap yourself up in a sock. Didn't you want to go on a swing? Take
Yeah.
yourself to local park.
Final words, should we buy the crocheted penguin kit or should she pick
Stick to one of her other 1,000 hobbies.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all for this episode. The vault is now closed. If you'd like to send in your dilemmas, please send them to thevault@financielle.com. And just a quick disclaimer, the vault is a chat around life and money topics, and we are not giving financial advice.